The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm looking really forward to doing this unboxing video. Full disclosure though, I did totally read the book ahead of time. I got it from the library, I couldn't resist, and it ended up being so good that I was just like, whoop, all the way through it. Now, in the Invisible Life of Addie LaRue box, unlike OwlCrate's normal bookish items, all of the items in here are actually exclusive to Addie LaRue. So it's about a quote or an aspect of the book. The very first one is an enamel pin. The full quote on it is, "A story is an idea wild as a weed springing up wherever it is planted." And this is made by Forensics and Flowers. Now this quote refers to Addie LaRue's curse. 300 years ago, she was on the edge of getting married. She did not at all want to be married. And she prayed to the wrong God. And he granted her freedom. But with that freedom came a curse of remembrance. She can remember herself, but no one around her remembers her. Which brings us to our second item. Now this is created by Alchemy and Ink, and it is a wooden darkness candle. Now the scent of this one is supposed to remind you of forest nights, dark nights. And the quote that goes along with it is, "He is the darkness she met that night, feral magic in a lover's form." And this is in reference to the god who cursed her. Which brings us to our next item, created by Juniper and Ivy Designs. Now this is a wooden page holder, and it echoes Addie's ashwood ring. Now this ring was a symbol of the curse, and has actually played quite a bit of a role in the cat-mouse game between her and the old god. The quote that goes along with this one is, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't take French. "Il était une fois," he would say, before sliding into stories of palaces and kings, of gold and glamour, of masquerade balls and cities full of splendor. Once upon a time, this is how the story starts. Now the next one, connecting with the story theme, is designed by Paperback Bones, and it is to commemorate the last word. And that's where Addie meets Henry, the one person in 300 years who can remember her. Now, the quote that goes along with this one is, "Books she has found are a way to live 1,000 lives, or to find strength in a very long one." Now this is in reference to two things. The first being, there's a way around her curse. She cannot physically be remembered, but her influence can, and she starts to influence the art world as a way to make an impression on this. In addition, finding strength in a very long one, the moment she gives in to the dark god, her curse would be over, her soul would belong to him, and she would lose her life. But in 300 years, he has never once convinced her to give up on living. Now this next item was the one I was probably the most excited about, just because it looks really, really fancy. So this was created by Daffodils and Ink, and it is a gorgeous perpetual wooden calendar. The quote that goes with this one is, "Life can feel very long sometimes, but in the end, it goes so fast." Now this is an exclusively designed, gorgeous rose gold and black calendar. So this one, I don't know if this is might be what they're going for, but I think it's kind of funny because Addie, 300 years is a lot of calendars to own. So if she were to grab a calendar, a perpetual one would make the most sense. So this item, I like how there's a quote on it, though I am slightly sad that the quote is hidden by all the blocks. I guess every time you physically change the date, you will see the quote, but I just wish the quote was kind of like on the back or something where it was just a little bit more visible. Alright, so then we only have two more items. One is a digital item, and it is a playlist of songs that the author is reminded of her book or that are reminiscent of specific characters. And this playlist can be found on Spotify, and it just is kind of a cool way to interact with a book. I like when authors do something like this. And the very last item in this box is designed by Michelle Gray, and the cover is designed by Unlucky Designs. This is a memory journal. The quote that is connected with this one is, "What a luxury to tell one's story, to be read, remembered." And this is in reference to Addie. When she meets Henry, he becomes obsessed with her life story. Not in a creepy way, in a really cool way, like he's amazed. And he just wants to write it as much as he can. And Addie just feels like this huge wave of belonging, of happiness that someone else knows her story. Now, this is a 3-year journal, and it has spots for entries starting January 2021 all the way up to 2023. And you're just supposed to jot down quick notes about every single day. And last but not least is the actual book. So this one is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Now, this is an exclusive cover to OwlCrate. It has a ribbon bookmark. It has unique end papers, and instead of a dust jacket, it has a black with rose gold inlaid design, with the actual back cover design being done by Paperback Bones. It is signed by the author, and that wooden ring is in reference to what we were talking earlier with the wooden page holder, where Addie has this ring that connects her to her dark god. So, overall thoughts on this book box. I am a huge fan when OwlCrate does these exclusive book boxes, but all of the items relate to specific parts of the book. I just love having things related to what I am reading at this time. As far as the items, I would say I am pretty darn pleased. There are things that I never would have expected to get, like the wooden page holder or the calendar, and yet they work really well. They don't feel like something that I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do with this? It's more like, oh, where can I put this where it's most shown off in my house? My favorite item, I'm probably going to go with the thermos, because I have a ton of thermoses, but this one, I love the quotes on it, and I love the reference to the last word, which is the bookshop where Addie and Henry met for the very first time. The calendar was great. The enamel pin was a fabulous quote and a fabulous design. I even really liked the wooden page ring. I don't know how much I'll use it, but I do love the quote on it and the way it is engraved. I think that's the right word. As far as the book, to be perfectly honest, I'm not the biggest fan of naked books. They just feel naked and wrong. But I think this year I've gotten like 3 naked books from OwlCrate, so I could probably just make a mini shelf of it and it'll be all good. And the journal, I'm tentatively really excited for it. I can't wait to give it a shot. As far as the actual book and whether or not this book is worth it, I would 110% say yes. I've read a few of E. Schwab's books before, and I haven't been the biggest fan. There were elements I liked, there were elements I didn't. This one I liked, I would say 90 to 95% of it. It was really slow, but in a savoring sort of way, where I just wanted this book to keep going forever. And I just was so invested in Addie's story, and I was just so in love, with the world, with the words and the way they were chosen. I was enamored from the very moment it began, and that was a pretty steady throughout. I definitely recommend this book, especially if you just want a different type of story. There wasn't like a teen YA, gotta go for that triple romance, trying to save the world, everything's on her shoulders. It was very different pacing and a very different plot from that, and I thought it was so refreshing and such a wonderful book. Highly, highly recommended. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day, happy Halloween, and happy reading. Bye.